Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. This is the book launch of our birthday girl, Aleni Kakam's second self-published poetry book, Coming Home. I'm Fro Olivario, your host for tonight. So it's about making sense of our experiences, facing our shame and guilt, and rising above our self-inflicted pain and self-imposed limitations. It's also about healing from our past, from heartbreak and dealing with social pressure, while learning to fully accept ourselves. So it's a journey of coming home to our true selves. If any of these resonates with you, I am sure that this book launch is something that's worth your while. Now, allow me to introduce first the author of Coming Home. Aleni Kakam or Len is a self-published author, a seasoned marketing professional, diver, traveler, and environmentalist. She has her first book. It's called Travel Anyway. It talks about the lessons you learn about life and love during your travels, while her second book, Coming Home, talks about the journey of healing and accepting yourself.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, those who I know and those who I don't know in this group. And I'm looking forward to, having real, genuine conversation.
Cha is a model and fashion influencer turned to a travel and adventure content creator. The switch in career and perspective helped her realign her goals to a life of expanding one's comfort zone and continuous learning. She's currently a certified IDA 2 free diver and an advanced open water scuba diver. Now she uses her social media platforms to promote environmental conservation, health and fitness, outdoor adventures, and self-progress.
Hi guys! Nice to see everyone here. I'm excited to have this talk with you all.
And then next we have Shari Poquiz. Shari is a makeup and lifestyle blogger for at least 16 years now. She uses her online channels to document her beauty escapades and life journey as a single mom. Just recently, she has ventured into entrepreneurship, from creating handcrafted bags to candles. There's no stopping her, all these while taking care of two beautiful kids.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining. Happy birthday, Ate. Congrats on your book. And yes, like Cha, I'm so excited to learn from everyone here and to hear your stories, our stories, and get to share our experiences. Thank you for having me.
Okay, let's start. Why don't you all three ladies tell us what you're busy with these days and how you have been coping with the pandemic?
One of the things that got me focused was writing them down. So like I listed all the things that I've always wanted to do that I haven't done, things that I'm interested in, but I haven't really gotten the time to do them.
Kasi during the pre-pandemic, grabe, I was always on the go, always run. Parang parati nagmamadali. So I think this time, this chaos at home made me realize to slow down. It's okay to slow down, and I actually need to slow down. Like my kids are always asking for me for more time. Parang I don't know if there are any moms here, pero yung parang feeling mo kulang ka. Like if you're a working mom and I'm a working single mom, parang kulang ka sa lahat. You feel like you're not enough. That part in the book, in the saying na parang, are you enough? Do you feel like enough? Ako parang I always think to myself, I'm not enough. So this pandemic, how I made sense of it is, I don't have to be like I don't have to do everything.
I lost my sense of purpose, parang yung passion ko, parang everything just got canceled, tas yung goals, parang all these planned goals that I was thinking in my head, parang wala na din. Tas there's, my career, which was like kind of, I felt like it was falling apart because I wasn't able to travel. Tapos same with the love life naman, which was super recent. Like I think it was before the quarantine, I broke up with my previous boyfriend. Tapos parang sabay-sabay lahat siya. So when I was going through all of this, I really didn't have much like it really had to take me so much effort to actually make sense. But then when we choose to continue to live life, parang things just suddenly make sense. Parang when we go with the flow, like the ocean, for those plans that were canceled, parang ngayon, on hold na lang siya. Tapos parang ngayon, what I have right now, what I have in front of me, I just learn to appreciate and accept it and just let.
Len, tell us more about the book. What do you hope to communicate about, asking the hard questions, facing the truth, accepting yourself? And you also touched upon accepting our lightness and darkness. What do you mean by that?
To to sit down and really kind of figure out, what I want to do or who I am in terms of all these external and internal pressure. That is actually what the book is about. To be more accepting of, where you are in your life, and then how do you go through it. And also it was, partly, I actually started it in 2018, but I finished it in 2020, or bulk of it was during the pandemic. But during the start, I was also getting into a relationship. There's always the tendency wherein you kind of give up part of yourself. And then once you've broken up, you don't know where to start. And that's what I didn't want to happen when during that time. So, how do you let him in without losing yourself, and how do you become interdependent but not dependent too much on each other? And I mentioned a lot about light and darkness because I also had thoughts, while in the relationship, and also during the pandemic, being out of it and, just being with myself. There were a lot of questions that are a little bit dark, but but I felt like I need to recognize that I have those thoughts. Okay, if it's just you, do you like your company? Do you like spending time with yourself if there's nobody else with you? And I wanted to answer that question. So yeah, those are like the triggers of the book. It's all about facing the questions that are in your head, but you don't want to answer them, or you're even afraid that you're just thinking, that you're thinking of it. And I really hope that, how whatever thoughts I put in the book, I hope it helps those who are going to read it to also start asking or recognizing those questions and answering them for themselves.
So in your current disposition, how would you answer the question? Is this really what I want to do with my life?
Parang before, kasi when I was younger, of course, when we're young, we're always just following what we see, like trends, let's say. So when I was in school, that's what I wanted to do. Like, I wanted to dress up kasi it's nice naman, diba, to look good, to feel good about what you wear. And that's how I got into the fashion industry. And I made friends with everyone, even with Shari and all my other friends, all into fashion and lifestyle. And but that time I got really burnt out. Like, I had this feeling na I wasn't doing what I want, and I, I felt like I was just not authentic because I was doing the same things as other people were doing. And at that point I was trying to figure out, like, is this that's the exact question, like, is this really what I want to do? Like, always just being all glammed up and going to events, because at some point when you get tired of something, you know that it's not for you, right? Na parang you feel like maybe there's something else that I want to do. That's when I found out that traveling was really something that I like doing. And that's when I met with Len and we traveled together. That's when I found out na parang, this is something that I actually like doing. It's all about discovering yourself. So, I figured out what I wanted to do through the things that I've explored. So yeah, it's all about just exploring your own likes and dislikes, your strengths and weaknesses. Ayon.
Anyway, so what life-changing event did I go through? Well, I got married I got pregnant, and then I got married at 23, and then after 3.5 years, we separated, and after a few more years, we filed. I no, we filed for annulment. So at 30, I was annulled. So married at 23, annulled at 30 or 31. Forgot, but I will not forget that day. So that was my life changing moment. It was being thrown, since we're talking about waves and ocean. So syempre ako baliktad. Parang I already felt like when I was in college, I had my plans. I will be a corporate slave. I will work until I become, the CEO of whatever company. I was really ready I had my plans, and hindi ako magpapakasal hanggang 40 na ako, and I'm earning, and if I get married, I'll kick out the guy because I'm independent, I'm ganyan. So that was I had my plan, but God had other plans for me. So I went through that life changing event, and ano ba? Ito na yung sinasabi na, since we're talking about oceans, it was like being thrown into the middle of the ocean. You know what I went through? Parang tinapon ka, hindi ka marunong mag-swimming. matututo ka pa lang, doon ka pa lang matututo mag-swim, pero may dalawa kang anak. Alam mo yun, may kasama kang dalawang anak. So, kailangan mo matuto. Parang kung ako lang, sige, okay nang malunod ako. Pero no, I had 2 kids, so I had to learn, I had to fight the waves. I had to get through an island, kung ano mang island yun, kung ano man nandun, and like, just make do with it, Parang I had no time to self-destruct and self-sabotage. Siguro if it were just me and I had no kids, I would have easily gone that route. It would have been easy to destruct and, labas na lang ako and just drink my sorrows away. I had a failed marriage, ganyan. I could have gone that way. But since I have my 2 angels I'm so happy that they're, sometimes iniisip ko, yung mga nagsasabi na, when what I went through, I would go through it again. Akala ko before, ang showbiz naman nun, talaga nahirapan ka, gusto mo ulit pagdaanan, you'll choose it. Talaga no regrets. But now I can really say it. Parang shocks. Pag mangyari ulit yun sa akin, I would choose to go through it. You know why? Because I realized during the separation and the annulment, I was such a codependent person. For all the independent woman vibe that I wanted to, like I was putting on, I was codependent pala. Like I jumped from long relationship to long relationship. I had no time to be alone. Yun, are you, like Ate Len's question of, are you happy alone? Like, naisip ko, shucks, I was like always in a relationship. Parang I always pinned my identity on someone. Parang I'm so independent, but at the same time, parang kailangan ko may boyfriend. But ganon. So when I was and I got annulled and I realized, wow, freedom. I realized that I had to go through it to realize my own strength.
Okay, the next question is for all three of you. What are the societal pressures that have bothered you before or are still bothering you now? And how have you been reacting or responding to it? Len?
Like, number one is, when you hit 30, you're supposed to be married and have kids. Or at least that's what in your, that's part of your plan. It wasn't like that when in the last few years. It's not that I don't want to get married. It was just not in a priority. Like, I'm not gonna force the issue if it's not there. So the other one is the pressure of focusing on your career or being a wife. Like, why can't we do both? Although, like, me personally, I want to be a successful housewife if I have a choice. When you're a boss, and it took a long time before I could say that I'm a boss, because there's always that pressure wherein if you're a woman, you're just demanding or you're just high maintenance. But in reality, the things that we've been doing are the same things that men are doing in the workplace, but but it's only now that it's being more acceptable. So yes, the pressure is still there, internal and external, but I think I'm in the process of learning how to deal with them, and that and how do I deal with them? It's really knowing my boundaries, knowing what I want to say, and being confident in saying it.
Okay, I realized ang dami palang expectations of women. Like Ate Len said, why working woman or stay at home mom? Why can't you have being a mom, or why can't you have both? Parang I went through it all. I went through all I wanted to work kahit konti lang. That's why I started my blog. But at the same time, parang ano ba yung ginagawa mo? I parang hindi naman yan totoong job. I had those mga ganyan quibbles, and I really felt like parang meron tayong imposter syndrome. Like with Ate Len, what she was saying na finally I can say na I am a boss. It's like parang I don't know, is it our generation na we have this imposter syndrome na parang we feel like even if we're successful in some things, parang we're downplaying it. Is it because we were raised na we didn't get from our parents? Like for me, hindi vocal, hindi tayo yung super, sweet, and like we affirm each other. So parang we're always wanting to prove ourselves, So parang I went through that, and I had to prove myself na I'm a good mom, I can work for my kids. But yun na nga, that's what I let go of because it was really consuming me.
So here's our attempt to, make sense of our experiences. This question is for Shari and for Len. How did you rediscover yourself to get to where you are now? And do you feel confident now, and why?
I didn't know I could free dive before, or I want to do scuba diving. I think I was still in surfing during the time, but even surfing, all those three activities, I only got into it because I just said yes. It wasn't an interest before. I just like swimming and being in the ocean. That was it. But everything else was because I was invited, and then I said yes. And even being involved in the climate change movement, it was also because somebody invited me, and then I had nothing else better to do with my time, so I just said yes, and then everything flowed from that. So if you're in that space where you don't know what you want to do with your life, or you're kind of stuck somewhere, I think saying yes to invitations, that could probably lead you from one place to another. That's a good way to do it. And then the other one will be just being able to put it on paper or articulate exactly what you're feeling. um I think that would really help you, and I feel happy whenever somebody tells me na when they're reading my poems, it feels like I wrote down the words for whatever they were feeling that they didn't know how to articulate. And it really makes me feel connected in that sense, wherein, I was the only person feeling this, and I didn't want to share it, but now that, people are telling me this, it feels like I'm connected and that I'm not alone in going through what I'm going through.
There, parang I turned to creating, parang writing Catalan, but for me, it's like creating. It wasn't like I was escaping it, but it actually helped me divert my attention, and it helped me feel like, okay, I can do this. Like, parang, what, but there are people asking me, are you a single mom? Parang nagtatanong na. So parang ako, that's when articulating it, like Ate Len said, and sharing my story, which I was so, like before, parang never ko naisip na I would speak about, my marriage or my annulment or what happened to me. I never thought that I would be able to share it on social media because parang, how social media is, it's all highlights, and parang pag may nakita ka na, no one really shares their dirty laundry. But when I shared my story, it resonated with women. That's when I felt like, oh my gosh, ito pala yun. It's because, when I share it and other women will feel empowered na, okay, I have a choice. And when I feel like this, parang I don't have to just carry it and just carry the burden or just stick with it. And, ang dami na, like, ang dami kong mga nakausap about this. And that was really what made sense of all that happened to me rin, and how I was able to freely share it to other people. It's because I feel like when I share it, it also gives me the courage na, oh my God, I went through this and I actually got over it.
The question is, figuring out oneself is challenging and being confident about it is another thing. So have you ever experienced the imposter syndrome, and how did you manage it?
I've experienced it many times. And actually before, parang I wasn't able to acknowledge at that time that I was already experiencing the imposter syndrome, which kind of led me to feeling the need to prove myself to everyone. Na parang, and I can do this, I can do that, to the point where I will always have to just try and explain myself. So it's kind of like, I think my anxiety played a big part in that. So overcoming yung thoughts in our head is really hard kasi, I can list 100 of different ways to overcome, certain syndromes and yung anxiety, but it wouldn't be enough just to, try everything. So I've been through a lot of different dark thoughts, and I think it's just a matter of like trusting yourself, and as what a while ago, letting go talaga.
Because I don't know how it's gonna be, how the people will react, or who am I to even do a book launch? It's not like I'm a bestseller kind of author. So those type of,
Imposter syndrome.
I know, in terms of how you're leading a group, or how you are as a leader, there will also be times when you want to ask yourself if you're doing the right thing, or if you're fit for the job, or if you know what you're doing, because sometimes you don't. Like when people believe in you, it gives you the confidence that you need to actually go through whatever you're going through. While at the same time, for my writing, it's the readers or the people who would message me individually and say that I kind of help them figure out what they're feeling, or actually the idea of feeling connected. I think that's what solves my imposter syndrome, the feeling that I'm connected with someone. So it's no longer the likes, it's no longer if people will accept you or not. It goes back to, why are you even doing this thing? Why It goes back to your why. Like, why are you leading? Why are you here? Why are you even writing this?
Can we ask Shari and Len to give a message to our guests before we move on to the next part of the book launch?
Just a lot of self-discovery and exploring. Because, if not now, when? Ay, nangyari na yung pandemic, that's the question na parang, shit, di ko nagawa to, di ko nagawa yan. So, this is your tipping point to somewhere.
Don't be afraid to feel your feelings. Whatever it is that you feel, anxious, depressed, when you're lonely, you feel like, oh my God, the world is crashing down on me. I think just let it, just feel it. Feel your emotions. Don't be afraid of them. For me, I guess like that's what I also am teaching my kids. Always emotions, or how are you feeling? I try to be empathetic, and that's what I teach them too. Na parang always feel what the other person is feeling, and not just yourself. So because if not, we're gonna have like this generation of traumatized people who don't know how to deal with their emotions, and if everything else gets overwhelming, take it one day at a time. Yun nga, let go and take it one day at a time.
Be connected with yourself. Be connected with the people that deserve to be part of your life. As Shari mentioned, feel. I think a lot of people think being emotional, having all the feels is a negative thing, but I really think that it's a strength. I think those who can feel and those who are willing to feel create and build stronger relationships with themselves and with other people.
So, wala akong tanong. I think na nag-resonate lang siya sa akin. I think that's a very timely message to share with people na parang, how do you ground yourself when you start to think you're not good enough or what you are doing isn't authentically you?
It's good if you have your own support system. Like if you have friends who you really think understands you or share the same values, or really is out there listening to you. I think sadly, not all your friends will do that, especially if you have your Facebook friends, you have your Instagram friends, you have your TikTok friends, and then you have Kumu friends or whatever friends you have in other social media. I think along the way, and also when you get older, you get rid of some people. It's not a bad thing to do, but it's just that you need to be at this age where there's a lot of pressure and there's a lot of things to let go. I think letting go also means letting go of people who no longer serve a purpose in your life.
I think kasi na during this pandemic, like we all had our moments. Now we are all introverts. Na parang we didn't know how to reach out, and if you reach out, parang ako, like I felt like I don't want to reach out too often, because what if that person has no space and energy to give me? Kasi hello, like ako nga, parang ayoko makipag-usap sa tao minsan, and I have no social, wala akong social energy for it. So parang pakiramdaman, hindi mo alam kung ano ba, like so yun nga, parang it's also important to like check up on your friends, but also understand sometimes that when they don't, it's because you're all going through, like someone commented on my IG story na parang you're all going through a pandemic and you're all going through life, like figuring things out. So like don't write off anyone easily, kasi lahat tayo ngayon parang nagkakapaan kung anong gagawin. So it's a balance.
Using my social media to reach to people who feel the same way is also something that I liked doing before, because I know that I was actually helping out a few people that that may be strangers, but we all connect because we were going through the same thing. And I think that also helped me in a way kasi there's like this support system na this complete strangers feeling the exact same thing, and we connect in that way. And it's fun to get to know people and their feelings kasi you learn from them too, how they cope up. You learn from from different people with different cultures. It's
Right. Basahin ko lang yung sinabi ni Jo. She said she doesn't have questions, but she wants to say that the imposter syndrome is real. And it's such a normal feeling that doesn't get talked about too often. I think because growing up, we were taught to be humble. Now we're uncomfortable to have the spotlight on ourselves, which is a huge thing to unlearn. And then Janice said, thank you for sharing your stories and vulnerability. Your authenticity just shows how your experiences molded you and brought out your courage amidst the chaos. So inspiring to keep on going. Thank you for connecting and changing lives.
And I appreciate that you guys have been very open and humble about what has happened. I mean, we've all struggled in different ways, but I mean, with how you guys look now, aside from being beautiful, it looks like you've gotten wiser and stronger.
For me. So now we are lucky because Len will read us a poem of her choice.
The one that I'm gonna read is the last poem. It's Coming Home, because I think that's where we want to go, and that's where the end. That's the end goal. So, coming home, I look at the depths of my soul and sat with sadness. I gathered the strength to love myself and bravely loved another. I have weathered the storm of death and met love in different shapes and forms. It's love just the same. I have embraced my solitude and have learned to stand in my power. I cannot be defined by one thing because I can be everything and anything. I left, I got lost, and now it's time. I am coming home.